Just some absolute madness here up top. Andrew and Jake in 1 and 2. So exciting, boys. So I was hoping that this would be the case. I kind of told Jake, I think, that the way that both the boys were going to play this week, it looked like it was a good chance that it'd be Andrew 1 and Jake 2, and it exactly worked out that way and pushed up a bit of a lead on the top few guys there. And a lot of it was dependent on which guy you had. Did you have Pap? Did you have to deal with Aiken? Did you have a limited amount of trades? And yeah, the boys have pushed this week, and it was kind of our thought to try and get to the front and see if we can hold on as a team, because I'm part of the squad, given they're in the private crew there. So that's their goal. Our goal is to try and get a winner from the crew to show everyone how important it is to be in there, and it gives you that opportunity to push into those top ranks. So if you are interested in joining for the rest of the season, guys, information is in the description on that, and I'll get you in there straight away. Now for those two boys, incredible work there. We've got August in 3rd, Thames in 4th there. I think he might have had to play with 11, which made it a bit tough. So Andrew got that lead of 61 now, which is really, really cool. Now squad values, I think a few of the guys up top did improve a little bit. I know mine went up a little bit with a few good winners, and there's a lot of guys here in the mid 14 millions, which is pretty crazy. But we do have to shout out a lot of the guys were assuming that it was a name change to try and get a shout out on the channel, and it has worked. It's got Mungo versus Jamie Brown. So I'm going to claim that this is my team because it's pretty cool. To say, Ma, I made it. I'm 10th overall, guys. I'm going to claim it because it's got my name in it. So a good 840 from King of there, and pushed into the top 10, and has apparently got something against me. So love that. Absolutely love that. And you see that myself, I'm up to almost 14.2 million in squad value, and with Jack Bird being out, I did actually push back and only play the 12 players and only make 2 trades in the end. And it was really, really good week. I ended up leaving myself with 563 in the bank, and would have been well into the 700s if I made the 3rd trade for Bird. I did have an opportunity there to get another player and go for Adam Dewey, and I eventually, I was actually out busy at the time when I caught up with a friend there and watched the Wallabies play Fiji in Newcastle. So it was a pretty average reception. The game had started, and I was sitting there trying to work out, do I make the trade? Do I not? And eventually decided that I wouldn't. If he had the edge duel, even though I thought it's likely that he's going to go back to centre, I would have made the call. But that was the reason I was going for Bird in the first place, was that he'd be able to help me this week here in edge, and we'll maneuver around the team to set it up for this week. But yeah, if that was going to help me that way, and it was less of like more of a 1 week play to push up in the ranks, I would have done it. Thinking back now, it would have looked really, really cool to have that 13th player and push myself into the well into the top 1,000 there, which I haven't been in there once this year. I think by this stage last year, I just moved into the top 1,000, so we're close to where we were, and it didn't take too long, 3 or 4 rounds post where we are heading into round 19 to get into the 200 mark before pushing out to 757. And personally, I do think I'm in a better spot this year to finish an improved rank than last year at 757. Not as good as the year before at 101, but I think somewhere in between there is definitely on the cards. But I couldn't complain not buying Adam Dewey, because that game there was absolutely spectacular for my side. I did pass on Drinkwater, and they were right in the end about Jack Bird, so where there is smoke, there is fire, they were saying as well, which completely made sense. I probably would have bought Drinky, knowing what I knew, but in the end, very, very happy I bought Nwangi Tawaze instead. Had Nafahu White in the side for his 75, so to connect that with Nawa and his 14 tackle breaks, basically the same as what he did the week before to get the 81. Absolutely incredible. Had Savala and Latu Fainu there, so both my cheaper type of options in the halves were doing a great job for me. And then and then Tedesco's 48, thankfully got that try at the end. But that final game of the week there, I brought in Tom Trbojevic for his 64 and a double. Just love that he's switching over to the left hand side and running those lines, and just a chance to get the try assist from Turbo to Garrick. Passing to Kohler to get Garrick's try there, but him sweeping both sides is awesome. And seems like him, Kohler, and then Hopewade as well working fairly well together. And yes, it was against a lesser opponent, let's say, in the Dragons, but overall a really, really good outing there. Sorry, not against the Dragons, against the South Sydney Rabbitohs there without the Trell and a few of their guys injured, and how many positions players moved with Duncan going out to centres, with Aitken being out and Cody Walker out with White going to 6. And yeah, they put up a good fight, but they weren't a formidable defensive opponent. So great to get those scores out of Garrick and Trebojevic. Early on the game was like Garrick, I think, was 2 and 20, and it was like, oh, is he going to be the guy that we sell? And yeah, at least he is getting opportunity down that left-hand side for tries, and he's going to need them, I think, for him to score near this 50 mark on a regular basis. For in this game, had to score a double to score 54 with a few goals. And not the goals this year has been really, really off. A little bit last year as well, but probably a bit worse this year. So not sure what's happening with that one. But yeah, overall, with 12 players to get 768 was a very, very happy total. Didn't have to take King Tongi's 21. Just lobbed in, Tarpany's 37, just went with that. And then Hosking 65 was awesome as well. So to get price rises out of Turbo, a little bit out of Garrick, Fainu there. Very happy in the end. I missed out on Hughes' big score last week, but thankfully this week Latu was able to repay the faith and get a nice 63, which was awesome. Savala went up plenty of cash as well to go with Hosking. King Tongia with the 21 basically sticks solid. Fahu White went up 30 odd. We lost 30 from Tavanga, went up 40 or something from Nawa, and I think lost 30 or 40 from Colo, and another 20 odd from Terrell. So since he hit the heights of over 1 million, he's dropped down a little bit, but that part doesn't matter. So that's my side. Let's just have a little play around with moving players in and out the side. So we do have Garrick out, which will push. Lucas is going to have to stay in the edge for me this week, so that works well. So Nwangi Tawaze will go into that slot there. We've got Kiraz who'll go in for Turbo, and then we will have Jaden Campbell returning. So that'll be good news there. And with Campbell, he's going to be a moving part depending on how things go. So Hines likely is going to come in for Latu Fainu there, and we'll have to work out what we can do on the looping side, because you can see there, really, unless Cleary is out, then I don't really have the half maneuverability to do some looping, which is a bit frustrating. And you can see here up top, so Clark's going to go in for, let's work that out. So Tavanga is going to move out of the side, and we'll say early, guys, thank you to Jazz Tavanga for your service. It's been a lot of fun. It's been real. But 525k now, he's done his job. Wish the last 2 rounds were a little bit better, but before that, it was great. But he's going to be leaving the side this week, and the big one and the big worry is going to be Joe Tarpanay. He lost 30 odd thousand and down to 675. Is he going to be a player that leaves our side as well? And when I look at the squad right now, in terms of all my starters, I think Hugo Savala will partner Sam Walker on his return if he does, which means Sandon will move back to the bench, most likely. And I think we could still keep Savala a little bit longer. He's doing a great job. Whether we play him this week or not, he could easily be Cleary. And then, we've got so many halves. So at this point, I think King Tonga is one to leave as well. And at 379k with the cash I have in the bank, that can be done. I have Yongi that is, ready to be moved on as well. We can do some looping with that wing fullback section this week. Now that I've held him, I end up trading out Ewan Aiken and Couchman, which left Yongi, and he's in a spot where he's got a decent break even, has been scoring pretty well. So him coming up against Penrith, it'll just depend if the Origin guys do back up or not as to how he can score. But he's been in really good form in recent history. So yeah, the half position with my looping will just depend on how on if Cleary does back up or he gets through unscathed or whatever else. And down below, very happy with the centres and the wing fullback situation. Campbell, Karaz, Tedesco, Farnworth, Nwangi Tawaze. Latrell will come in soon. Who that's going to be for is going to be decided, I think, after this week. Guys like Yongi in my team. No, we definitely can't get rid of. Garrick, I think, will have some lower weeks, so he's definitely one that potentially is on the chopping block. I've got the few halves, so I don't know if I need to upgrade in that spot as yet. Really, it's just going to be dependent on how Savala goes and if we can get through unscathed with Cleary and Hines. But that's a spot I do want to upgrade at some point. And for this week, you can see there that with Bird not being available, I didn't pick him up, and I do need a mid and an edge. Well, it can be 2 mids, or it could be 1 mid and 1 edge. Now, there's plenty of those guys available. Isaiah Yeo at 749 is definitely in my targets. Payne Haas, I think I'll go in 21 after their bye. Coming off the 49, break even's going to be normal. So at best, he loses a bit more cash and or doesn't back up. It would be helpful for my fantasy team, not helpful for my Supercoach team. But Isaiah Yeo is one of those guys. Connor Watson is another potential guy. We did lose a bit of cash from Preston, which means he's closer to a buy. We have Eli Katoa that comes into our thoughts as well. The reason I would look at someone like Watson is more the mid coverage this week. But he can be interchangeable with Aaron Clark, which is cool. But then him being my backup hooker for the remainder of the year, which is going to be cool. So yeah, he's definitely an option this week at 666, along with Isaiah Yeo, with Katoa, with Preston, and then I think it's going to be Payne Haas from there. Latrell next week. Yeah, a few different things we want to think about here. But the good thing with me not using that extra trade to get to 13 in the week just gone was that it leaves me with 1 extra trade there at 4 with the plenty of cash in the bank. So the 3 that are on the chopping block this week are King Tonga, Jazz Tavanga, and also Joe Tapine. They're the 3. I will only use 2 trades, all going well and all being equal, just to set myself up for the 13 this week. And I think, we've ended up in a spot where, unfortunately, almost 200 teams, thinking at 180 odd teams, unfortunately don't have any more trades left. So you can see here the average score, and I'm making 685. I thought it was 700 odd. I must have taken that away. Yeah, so if you managed to get a really good score in the 700s, you would have gained ranks, but the average is 2.9 trades remaining. And you can see here there's 182 teams with 0 and 138 teams with 1. So it very much is a week again to push forward and to try and make some more ranks. Teddy, Kolomatangi, and Hughes all with okay scores as captain, but guys, Terrell, he averages 77. I don't know, keep people trying to be too cute with this stuff. Like if he was averaging 68, I'd understand, but when you've got someone that's just so consistent as him and almost plays 80 minutes, it's just it feels crazy to go against that. You see the popular trade-ins this week for Fogarty, Fogetti, I like saying both. Turbo 216, Eli Katoa at 210, Preston at 191, Teddy, Nawa 178 and 167. Bird was still brought in by 130. Unfortunately, that was the worry about if you used Couchman straight to him, which I know clearly people did, which was unfortunate given he was in that 24-hour update still. Karapani brought in over 100, and then you had Drinkwater and Hughes. So really, Bird was the only one that Bird and Preston were the main 2 that did struggle, with the rest of the guys having a pretty good game. So you'll take that for most buyers there. And then the trade outs were Couch, Aitken, Lawson. People went early on King Tonga, that worked well. 60 Kaipis ball sellers, that was interesting. And then Adam Fennell Blake 41, who I feel, especially in my side, is very, very important this week, or will be very important there. All right, so let's move along to, we already looked at the rankings. Let's go to the leagues now. Just a few of the leagues that I'm in. I did get a win in all of them except for our content league, with a shout out to Nikki with last night's video. Go check that out, guys. It was a much more happy video for Nikki. Almost halved his rank with his 834, getting himself into a much better position and showing some of the chops that he had last year. He's down into the 5,000s now, and I think he'll push into the 3s after this week. And we've got Mitch and Matt that will be back this evening there with Mitchy Boy showing a lot of improvement, and I think he'll be very, very quickly back in that top 1K where he's much more better known to be. All right, podcast. We've still got Jordan in 11th. He's absolutely flying. We've got Jakey there with a lower score at 643, but almost held rank, it looks like, at 224, so good stuff there for him. Without the good score, but in a good rank there. Terrence with a great score into the 300s. Austin with a 737 into 445, a great spot there. You got Nick with a 548. You got Mr. Christopher Cook pushes into the top 1,000, so congrats to him. I'm still hot in his tail there with my 1,090 overall rank for my 768. And then you can see the guys down there. Scoop we'll hear from later in the week. 2,400, absolutely flying in Supercoach though, like doing well here in fantasy, but I think he's 122nd now in Supercoach, which is incredible. Mitchy boy, he pushed himself in front of Longy there. You'll see Mitch's score and everything tonight. 713 for Longy at 2,573. I got Mr. Amateur Mark in there at 728 to 4,320, so improving at the moment. Nicky's pushed himself off the bottom of the canvas from 4th or 33rd of last month or so into 22nd, so a great push from him, moving in the right direction, which we'll be very happy about. And there's the rest of the crew down there. Now, just a quick shout out to the rest of the guys in the private crew. We've got Andrew and Jake in 1 and 2. We've got Harry, who moved from 45th into 22nd. An incredible score, just under 800 there. Flying, we've got Les in there at 31. Hayden push with an 852 down to 37th. You got John and Jeremy 41st and 48th. So they almost round out the top 50 with Jackson at 49 there. And then we're just outside the top 50 with Chris. So to have 8 of the private crew, so 8 out of 400 guys in the top 50 shows that we're doing some good stuff over here in the private crew. And yeah, might be a good little thought process to potentially join next year, so we can help guarantee that you have a fun season and do really well in the ranks. Poor Danny had a bit of a downer after being sort of 3rd or 4th in this group. He'll be back after the tough week there. But to see all the way down to, unfortunately, Adam just outside the top 100, same with Jodeci, but 12 in that top 100 there. So crazy to have 8 in the top 50 and just 4 other players inside the top 100. So shout out to you guys. I'm still a long way behind in 63rd. Hopefully pushing into the top 1,000 and we can improve that ranking there as well. A Gargarov Cup into 7th now, so I've got to win in that one. And that's something that I've got to have a look at over the next few weeks as well, as to continue doing well and push myself into a better spot in that. We want to try and sneak that top 4 somehow, which would be good. And Andrew absolutely killing the full-time Is Your Fantasy League. What's he got? 150. Wow, yeah, 153 point leader there on the rest of the crew. So good stuff. Up to Nathan's chin. So that's all the leagues, which is good fun. Probably the only other one to have a little peek at was going to be the old private group there and how we went for that one. Yeah, I think I was busy. I couldn't actually change that, so I had to leave Bird, unfortunately, as the trade-in. So we only played with the 12 and picked up a 687. So basically held rank there with that team, and we'll maneuver things around over the next few days to get that sorted. So we will have a look at the Supercoach team and how we went. We did move up again, which was good, thanks to that double from Duncan at the end, which is pretty cool. The double Duncan. Can't believe he did 2 weeks in a row. Crazy cat. But I don't think Nicky went through these. I'll just quickly finish them off here. As to, I don't know how White's going to play more than 40 minutes next week. To go 45 tackles with 1 miss, 250 run meters, to have 70 in pure base is absolutely wild. And Nwangani Tuaze, freak. Yeah, 11 tackles, 1 miss, 14 tackle busts there. And he does his little jump step and they go bomb. And he tries to rip blokes there. So did great with the 2 tries. And then Terrell May, captain at 73. It's just we hardly talk about him anymore because it's just stock standard for him. But that was incredible. And Samuel Afenu there with the 2 try savers and the try and line break. That was a good line run too off Adam Dewey. 7 goals for Adam with that try assist. So you can see here, a lot of the guys that we own did really well. And if you went for the cash out pick in Tom Rodwell, he got the 41 as well with the couple of line breaks and the try assist as well. Fogarty with the 45 for him, 40 tackles on the edge. So yeah, it wasn't a lot going his way, but he did his job, played that full time. And the big question this week will be, how do they play it with him and Butcher? If Crichton backs up, they're both going to likely go to the bench. Does one of them drop out of the side? I think Foketti has been really, really good and deserves a space in this side. So will that continue? We'll have to see after this week. But you can see there, not a lot else from lower down. Egan Butcher, if you went him instead. think Matty was flirting with that. I don't know if he ended up changing or not. I think I was like, why Butcher over Fogarty? I keep changing his name. And he just felt like he's probably more chance of staying in the team. So we'll see how that one plays out in team lists. Oh, Cam Murray, Charlie Murray. There you go. So that was that one. Generally pretty good, apart from, Blake Steep, for anyone who's still holding on to him with his 22 in 44 minutes. That didn't help with that one there. And we spoke about more of the important guys. We had Duncan with the double at centre. I think it was 11 and 50 odd minutes to finish. The 55 was wild. DCE with the try assist and the try. Probably a little bit frustrating for Mitchy boy. We'll see what he says on that. I think at the price point, you're very happy with the score. But to have all those attacking stats and 564 kick meters, to me, it just seems like he's got to work really hard to get to the 50 odd. We'll see how it changes over the rest of the weeks. But he's on bye this week. He had Jamie Humphries. Missed all his goals in the end, didn't he? Yeah. Unfortunately, they scored 3 tries for just the 12 points. I thought Johnson was pretty solid at the back. I thought that was fun to see. As we said with Jazz, just thanks for your service, Jazz. You'll be gone skis. Colin Matangi, 55 in the 80s, really slowed down over the last few weeks, but definitely holding on to him. Lehigh, pretty unfortunate how this one's played out for him with just a 1 line break assist. He got very close to scoring there, got held up over the line, and then Whiten moving to 6. Just the team's just not good enough, I don't think. And just a shout out to Brandon Smith. He seemed to have took the injury like a champ, but very, very tough to come back from your ACL and get injured again there. Tommy Talau with 6 and 17, Burbo 22. That part was frustrating for owners of him. Luke Brooks 19. What a beautiful 37 average from him. So really it was the turbo show to make 28 tackles for 2 misses. It was massive in the centres. Got a turnover tackle, got the 2 tries and 2 line breaks, but just 2 tackle breaks and no offload. So we've seen in other games he's had a fair few offloads in here, but for him to have a base of 24 in tackles there was really good. And yes, the meters gain are down, but he's making up for that in other ways, and he's getting put in really good attacking situations. So there you go, guys. We'll leave this video there. That's the results. That's the last couple of games, and just super excited for my boys at the top of the leaderboard, and hopefully we can stay there and I can push closer to them. I think I'm like 700 points behind, which is so crazy. But hope you guys had a decent week, and let me know if you've ended up using all your trades or if you've still got a few, or even just if you actually need to trade this week and you've got a full 13 ready to go. I know a few people that have ended up at 0, but they had cover heading into next week, so it should be generally fine for them. So let me know all that, and we'll catch you in the next one, guys.